My name is G.C. Burson, Jr. I enlisted in the United States Navy February 1939 and served until December 1958, 20 full years of service. I was born and raised in Carrollton, Georgia, out in the country. Graduated from Bowden High School, and in May 1938, I laid the plow stock over and left the mule, hitchhiked to Atlanta, Georgia, enlisted in the Navy, and had to wait 8.5 months to be called in for active duty. We had been on the USS Dixie, a destroyer tender, and had been at Pearl Harbor approximately 1.5 years, and we were transferred or sent back to San Francisco for what they call annual overhaul, and we were there 2 days before Pearl Harbor was attacked. As we entered Pearl Harbor on a return trip, it was one of the most emotional experiences I've ever had, to see the destruction. All still coming out of ships. They were still rescuing people. From there on, shortly thereafter, as the war proceeded into the Western Pacific, the Dixie was sent on down as the war proceeded, following the aircraft carriers, the cruisers, and the battleships to use support, provide support, and provide repair work. We were never in a lot of combat because it was not a combat ship, but we were there for practically all the wars, the battles. It was a very great moment. They opened up, you may not want to hear this, they opened up the beer garden and told us to help ourselves. You don't want to put that in, I don't think. That's hard. No, see we were rationed 2 beers a week, and I hadn't had a drink 40 years. I cleared that up, but then I drank 2. We lived to get off of that diving barge or whatever we was doing to go up to the base. They'd open the mess all up, and they'd give you a little chit, and you could get 2 beers a week. I came out of the Navy at the end of the war. I sort of had all of it I could stand, and I came out and went to Jacksonville, Florida, and came home and got married in December of 1946. And jobs were hard to find then, almost impossible. I brought a filling station with a younger brother and ran it for a while, and I went back in the Navy, signed up for another 6 years, because by that time, having that much time involved, I felt like that, I'd lost my desire to go to college, and so I said, well, I'll make a career out of it. Sometime during my lifetime, my family got together and gave me a plaque, and since I was a retired Chief Petty Officer, this sums up how most of them feel, hopefully not all of them. It reads, "A chief is always right. He may be misinformed, inexact, bull-headed, fickle, ignorant, even abnormally stupid, but never wrong."
I'm Laura Hoskins. I grew up in New York State. I was one of 5 children, and we lived in the city. We lived just a few blocks from a hospital, and I used to watch the nurses walking home in their white uniforms, and I just thought they were angels. So when I graduated, the war had just broken out, and that's all I wanted to do was to go into the Army Nurse Corps, because I wanted to be of help. I felt if our men had to go and fight, the women had to go and take care of them. And so I enlisted in the Army Nurse Corps. When my roommate and I saw a notice on the bulletin board, if you're interested in overseas duty, sign here. And we signed. And so we were notified to appear before the chief nurse the next morning at 9 o'clock. We thought we were going to hear about overseas duty. Well, the chief nurse informed us that we were relieved of duty We would go to our rooms and we were to report in 24 hours for overseas. I went to southern France, and fortunately we were asked what kind of work we liked to do the best, and I said operating room, and I was assigned to an operating room there. We opened our own hospital in a broken down wreck of a military French outfit which had been destroyed by some of the war activities. In no time, we were taking care of hundreds of soldiers a day. One of my saddest memories is waking up in the middle of the night and crying and saying, where are we going to put them all? They would be, in my dream, they would be lying on the floor or on these little litters with just little legs like that, and there would be more than we could even accommodate. It wasn't necessarily only a dream because it was too close to reality to be just a dream. The word went around from our chaplains that we would all meet outside at dusk and we would sing Christmas carols, and we would have candles, which we did. And this was around the little courtyard where the flag was and all. And I don't know if I can tell you. There were some planes going over, and we were frightened. And everybody was so quiet, you could hear a pin drop out there. Patients had walked from the barracks to the area in their pajamas, robes. Some were brought in on stretchers, carried on litters. They each helped each other. After the danger was over, it was so quiet, and nobody was even saying anything. And then one of the nurses, who had a beautiful voice, started singing Silent Night, and we all joined her.